Since 1921, over 13,000 runners have completed the famous Comrades Marathon 10 times or more, and like me, these people would also have boxes full of medals, badges, photos, and even trophies. But something uniquely happened to me 33 years ago while running for a silver in the world's oldest and biggest ultramarathon that has changed my life. Hi, my name is Eric, and this then is my testimony as a former sports writer in the 1980s. In the preview, that I'll again link in the description box, I talked about this hilly foot race of about 90 kilometers between Durban and Pietermaritzburg in South Africa. This year's race is next Sunday on June 11th and will for the first time carry prize money of 1 million rand for both the male and female winners. It will also for the first time have dual live coverage for both the men's and the women's race. So, how did I get to run the Comrades, and what happened? What got me psychologically motivated? Well, at the age of 19, I survived a mine accident in which one of my crew got killed, and then in the army, one of my best friends got killed in a car crash. So perhaps that motivated me to do something with my life. In 1981, some old guys got me jogging for Palabora Road Runners, and I ran my first 42-kilometer marathon in a time of just over 3 hours. I then moved to Johannesburg and became a sports writer at Beeld newspaper, and I ran my first Comrades in 1982, finishing just over 9 hours. I got married and in 83 went down to Durban by train to cover the race. It was the first live TV broadcast, and it really grabbed the attention of the South African public for the first time. We moved to the Free State, and from 84 to 89 I ran for Bloemfontein Achilles Club. In 85 I received this special sports writer award for my road running reporting at the Volksblad newspaper. In 1987 I eventually ran a 7:25 to win a silver medal, though I twice missed silver on 2 down runs by about 5 minutes, despite both times running a faster second half. The one here, my shoes got stolen, so I tried out new inner soles in some old shoes. It was such a bad plan. I got my first blisters going down poly shorts barely 8 kilometers from the start. The other time I got to the start late, so we stood at the back of over 10,000 runners, losing much time. Any case, that brings me to the 1990 up run. The race was on the same weekend that we moved from Glen Agricultural College to Potchefstroom. Being an addicted runner, my wife Pietri and our 2 sons, Eric Jr. and Paul, went up north with the furniture while I took our eldest son Douglas with me to Durban. Running at 5 minutes per kilometer, I was again on schedule for a silver, when after about 70 kilometers near Camperdown, I had this life-changing experience. We always say that 70 kilometers is where the race properly starts, having run more than 20 kilometers of long uphills to get from sea level to about 800 meters in altitude. Any case, it was at that point that I've noticed a small airplane dragging a huge banner. Usually it was advertising, but in this instance, when I looked up, I saw the message read, "Come unto me," said Jesus. The message on that banner spoke deep into my heart. It was for me like the Apostle Paul's conversion on the Damascus road. I realized that I'll either have to follow the world or Jesus wholeheartedly, knowing that one dare not remain lukewarm. Now, South Africa in those days was largely a Christian nation. We were born Christians and baptized as babies and attended the Dutch Reformed Afrikaans Church, but then at university started to backslide, though still professing to be Christian. Unfortunately, I was unable to jog the steep 2 kilometers up poly shorts, and I again missed silver. And by the way, that little airplane and the pilot flying for Banner Ministries crashed and died about a year later. Traveling the 1,000 kilometers back to our new home in Potchefstroom after the race, I wondered how to change my life, apart from attending church again. The answer was that an old varsity friend of mine and a missionary preacher, Reverend Johan Delaguerre, also lived in Potchefstroom at that time, and he, though also being in the Dutch Reformed Church, knew what my problem was, though at that time we did not have a formal definition for it. The British theologian Dr. David Pawson, who passed to glory in 2014, described it as the incompleted rebirth, which is a problem most Christians unknowingly have. I've made 2 videos on the topic a few months ago. But back to my testimony. So, with the same self-discipline needed for marathon running, I started to study my Bible and pray every morning. 6 months later on, encouraged by Reverend Delaguerre, I bowed the knee and did a renewed confession of faith. Doing Bible study left me with too little time for decent training in the mornings. I ran my last 3 Comrades Marathons just to reach the milestone of 10 races and to earn the coveted green number. This was 30 years ago in 1993, the same year in which my wife Petrie and I did the baptism of faith in a little Pentecostal church while she was pregnant with our 4th son Joshua, which is why we believe he is so blessed. So that's how I've changed from road running to running the race of faith, as the Apostle Paul describes in 1 Corinthians 9. I've written a number of faith-based books since then, and I'll make another video about how I've run the race of faith for the past 30 years. Let me read what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 9:23. He said, I do it all for the sake of the gospel, that I may share with them in its blessings. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable. So I do not run aimlessly, but I discipline my body to keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. So, to conclude, on that day in 1990, I looked up and saw the message on the banner. This morning, I've read Luke 19, where Jesus, passing through Jericho on his way to Jerusalem for the Passover and to be crucified, looked up and called the rich but short tax collector Zacchaeus from the fig tree. Jesus knew his name and knew that Zacchaeus would volunteer to do what we read in Luke 18, when another rich man was told to sell his possessions, follow Jesus. So maybe this is your time to look up and see the message calling you to follow the Messiah. Let me know in the comments about your Damascus Road moment. I will repeat this video in Afrikaans for my friends and family. Okay? Shalom.